Hi everybody. As you know, my name is Casey Grimm. We gathered here today to learn about how future legislation for gun control would be ineffective and invade the rights of the law-abiding citizens and gun owners who correctly and safely use their firearms. There are many people who own guns and use them properly, such as hunters, and people for self-defense, and people for recreation use such as skeet shooting and other activities. The immaturity and irresponsibility of the few, such as the criminals who use them improperly, should not have an impact, and their actions should not influence negatively the rights of the law-abiding citizens and hunters who use them correctly. There's always going to be a black market for guns, so there will never be a society in which there are no guns. The guns are controlled to the extent where no guns are allowed. The Second Amendment of the Constitution states that we have the right to bear arms. Our founding fathers put this in the Constitution for a reason, and we must respect that and keep that in mind when we talk about the issue of gun control. Previous legislation has come as far as logically possible. Right now we have background checks that are required to purchase guns. You must show your ID and such. Convicted felons can't buy guns from dealers. In 1934, the first form of gun control was passed through Congress. This regulated the sales of automatic firearms and also machine guns. In 1938, legislation was passed that convicted felons were not legally allowed to purchase firearms, and if they were caught with them, they were sent to jail. Dealers were also at this time required to have a license in order to sell, which the black market was picked up even more due to the convicted felons not even being able to purchase them from a dealership. That is why the black market has come to what it is today, and why guns kill will never be able to be completely eliminated. Concealed carry is allowed in all states. Different states have different laws and procedures for obtaining a permit. There are also different restrictions within each state on when and what type of gun can be concealed carried. All states allow it. Whether or not you have to obtain a permit depends on the state in which you live in. But concealed carry is something that all states should allow, and every individual should be able to practice, except for convicted felons who have had a history of crimes and immature and irresponsible behavior. For those of you that think gun control or further gun control legislation would reduce gun-related crimes, that is not true. According to the Department of Justice survey, there are approximately 192 million firearms in the United States of America. 35% of American households own guns, and of the 192 million firearms, approximately 35% are handguns. And the most frequently used firearm to commit a crime is a handgun. So that is a staggering number, 35% of the 192 million. The majority of gun owners actually are law-abiding citizens. The majority of gun owners are avid hunters and or skeet shooters for recreational use. A few who abuse their rights and privileges to use guns should not have a detrimental impact on whether or not we as American citizens should be able to own, possess, and use firearms. The recreation, skeet shooting, hunters for food, hobby. Some people even like to have a gun just for self-defense situations such as a home robbery or invasion. Guns are a deadly weapon. They are not to be messed with, and anybody who has a gun, owns a gun, or uses a gun should be required to be properly educated and trained to use the gun safely, effectively, and to the best of their ability. Now, in the state of Ohio, every person who hunts is required to have a hunting license, except for when you hunt on your own property. Now, this is a very good law because in order to get that license, you must take a series of classes and pass a test. Now, the only flaw to the system is that you don't have to actually show how to use a gun. You have to know how to use it. You have to show that you know how to use it. You don't actually have to demonstrate to an instructor how to use it. That actually could use some improvement. But other than that, I believe that the current gun control legislation has come as far as it can without impeding on the rights of your everyday law-abiding citizen gun owner who uses, possesses, and uses their gun safely, effectively, and with the proper training. I would like to thank you all for coming today, taking time out of your valuable day to come and listen to my speech. Remember, the so-called bad guys or convicted felons or people who commit the crimes and use guns irresponsibly and with immature behavior, they will always be able to have guns due to the black market. So just because you make it illegal for them to buy them from a dealer does not make it impossible for them to have guns. So if they want guns, they will always be able to obtain them. Just like marijuana is today, it's technically illegal, but you can go right around the corner and get it from your buddy or whatever. The majority of gun owners are responsible and mature citizens who have been trained to use guns properly, whether it be through a class or just your childhood upbringing around guns, and they use them safely with proper training. The Second Amendment of the Constitution states that we have the right to bear arms. This was made by our founding fathers who have made this part of the Constitution for a reason, and that is something that we should respect with a great amount of dignity. And remember that guns do not kill people. People kill people.